My name is Worswick and I'm the creative director and founder of the Couture. Yeah, when we started in 2015, the fashion and retail landscape was very different. There was probably not so many independent brands and not so much fashion clothing out there. What really inspired me was I was kind of creating pieces for myself, and it was like slightly more interesting silhouettes. When we started the business, they were like longer line silhouettes, really drapey clothing, and very minimal. And it was more inspired out of what was not on the market than what was on the market, and I think that's something that we still try and run through the business now. I think for us as a brand, we've been going 10 years, it's our 10th year now, and although we'll use trend in the ways of, it might be seasonal colours throughout a collection, we always try to at least link back to some of the seasonal colours. However, we'll only pick what we think is right for our brand. But as for the actual clothing, because we try and create pieces that are timeless, it's not so trend driven from a clothing perspective. We might develop silhouettes and move silhouettes onto different shapes that kind of fit a little bit more with where we're feeling like the trend is going, not necessarily following the trend. I think it's changed a lot during my 10 years in the business. Now the advantages from an overall business perspective, it's probably a lot cheaper to run a business in Manchester than it is in London. And again, with the growth in my sector especially, with a lot of fashion brands, you know, really either going really big or just being cool brands in how they are. A lot of the talent from London is quite happy to move up now, so I don't really see too many disadvantages. I think again that, you know, a lot of the restaurants and the fashion scene in general is kind of developed so much in Manchester that that's helped. You know, even Chanel Fashion Show coming to Manchester is a big thing for our industry, for that to be in Manchester rather than London. London's 2 hours away on the train, so I don't really see too many disadvantages. Again, we can travel globally from here, so I'd say there's just pure advantage at the moment. There's been a few challenges throughout the process. Initially, one of our biggest challenges was, you know, building a supply chain that could keep up with the demand of the clothing that we're selling. Because again, we started with such a small investment that we were selling out things a lot quicker. I think one of the biggest challenges that we find now is you know, maintaining a great culture within the business while scaling the team, and we probably try and overcome that most with, you know, the best communication we possibly can, team building exercises, celebrating wins when we have them, and just bringing the team together a lot more outside of work as well as inside of work. You know, this ever-changing digital landscape in our industry, and TikTok wasn't around when we started. Now it's a new platform. I think it's important for us to, if new technologies coming out, is to at least try and involve it in the business as soon as we can, or learn as much as we possibly can. That's all we can do with that side of things. But there's been a lot of macroeconomic challenges with Brexit, COVID, obviously US tariffs at the moment, and again, it's just about doing the best you possibly can with them and making the business still, you know, strategically make sense and not be, you know, loss making in certain areas. I think for us especially, more of an omni-channel growth, so less reliance on just D2C. We have our strategic retail partners and possibly going back into our own retail again in the future. Again, on top of that, AI. I know it's a buzzword, it's used all the time and everyone probably throws it about, but trying to incorporate it in our business as much as we possibly can to kind of, I think anyone that adapts it first and has the most experience with it will probably have the most success later on down the line. Again, for us, geographically, is growing the business internationally, but making sense from a financial point of view. So, growing the business. I think there's a few. Nothing happens overnight, and I think consistency, dedication, and resilience is important to have, because there is a lot of ups and downs in all business, and I think too many people now kind of paint this pretty picture when they get to a certain level of, you know, how easy it was, when really the truth was there's been times when everyone, you know, I've been close to quitting, my business partner's been close to quitting, and you have them challenging. It's kind of keep going and keep being consistent with what you're doing, and never let kind of fear kill your dream.